Have you ever walked down the street of a major American city and wondered why you're seeing so many people living in tents or on sidewalks? It's a jarring sight, especially when you consider that the United States is one of the wealthiest nations in the world. How can a country with such immense resources have a growing homelessness crisis? Today, we're going to dive deep into this complex issue, moving beyond the stereotypes to understand the real reasons why homelessness is on the rise. First, let's get one common misconception out of the way. Homelessness isn't just about individual choices or personal failings. While factors like mental health challenges and substance use disorders can contribute, they are often symptoms of a much larger systemic problem, not the root cause. The reality is far more tied to economic and structural forces that have been building for decades. The single biggest driver of homelessness is the staggering lack of affordable housing. It's a simple case of supply and demand. For decades, the cost of housing has skyrocketed, while wages for a huge portion of the population have stagnated. Think about it, since the 1960s, average renter incomes have gone up by about 5%, but rents have shot up by over 60% when adjusted for inflation. This massive gap means that millions of Americans are what we call housing insecure. They're living paycheck to paycheck, spending more than 30%, sometimes even 50% of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. When you're in that situation, a single unexpected event, a medical bill, a car repair, or a job loss can be the tipping point that pushes you into homelessness. So, why is housing so expensive? It's a perfect storm of factors. For one, the construction of new housing, especially affordable units, hasn't kept pace with population growth. This is partly due to restrictive zoning laws in many cities, often called NIMBYism, which stands for Not in My Backyard. These regulations make it difficult and expensive to build new multifamily housing like apartment buildings, which are typically more affordable. Instead, they favor single-family homes, which drives up land value and overall housing costs. On top of that, federal support for affordable housing has been drastically cut over the past several decades. Back in the 1970s, the government invested significantly in building and subsidizing public housing. But since the 1980s, that funding has been slashed. Programs that do exist, like the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, are so underfunded that only about 1 in 4 eligible families actually receives assistance. The waitlists for these vouchers can be years, even decades, long. We've essentially dismantled the social safety net that once helped prevent people from falling into homelessness in the first place. Now, let's talk about wages. The federal minimum wage, which is currently $7.25 an hour, hasn't been raised since 2009. Even in states with higher minimum wages, it's often not enough. There isn't a single state in the entire country where a person working a full-time, minimum wage job can afford a modest two-bedroom apartment at fair market rent. Let that sink in. A full-time job is no longer a guarantee of housing stability. The decline of unions and the rise of the gig economy have also led to more jobs with low pay, few benefits, and little security, leaving more and more people vulnerable. Another critical piece of the puzzle is the healthcare system. The U.S. has some of the highest healthcare costs in the world. A sudden illness or accident can lead to crippling medical debt, which is a leading cause of bankruptcy. And for those struggling with chronic health issues, both physical and mental, the lack of accessible and affordable care can make it impossible to maintain employment and housing. This is especially true for mental health care. For years, we've deinstitutionalized mental health treatment without creating a robust community-based care system to replace it. This has left many people with serious mental health conditions without the support they need, and many end up on the streets, where their conditions often worsen. Let's also consider the justice system's role. A criminal record, even for a minor offense, can create lifelong barriers to employment and housing. Many landlords and employers have policies that automatically disqualify applicants with a criminal history. This creates a cycle of poverty and instability. Once someone is released from prison, finding a stable place to live is one of the biggest hurdles to successful reentry. Without housing, it's incredibly difficult to find a job, reconnect with family, and avoid reoffending. And we're seeing new trends emerge that are making the problem even worse. Evictions, which were temporarily paused during the pandemic, have come roaring back. Rising inflation is squeezing household budgets even tighter. We're also seeing an increase in homelessness among older adults, who are often on fixed incomes that can't keep up with rising costs. And youth homelessness is a hidden crisis, often involving young people fleeing unsafe home environments. So, when you see someone experiencing homelessness, remember the story is almost always more complicated than it appears. They might be a single mother who couldn't make rent after her hours were cut. They might be a veteran struggling with PTSD and a lack of support services. They could be a senior citizen whose Social Security check no longer covers the cost of their apartment. They are our neighbors, and their situations are the result of deep, systemic failures. What's the solution? There's no single magic bullet, but experts agree on several key strategies. The most effective approach is housing first. This model prioritizes getting people into permanent housing immediately, without preconditions like sobriety or employment. The idea is that it's much easier for someone to address other challenges in their life, like finding a job or getting treatment, once they have a stable and safe place to call home. Studies have shown this approach is not only more effective at ending long-term homelessness, but is also more cost-effective than managing the crisis through emergency rooms, shelters, and police interventions. Of course, housing first needs to be paired with a massive investment in creating more affordable housing stock. This means changing restrictive zoning laws, increasing funding for housing assistance programs, and incentivizing the construction of low-income units. We also need to focus on prevention, providing emergency rental assistance and legal aid to help people who are on the brink of eviction. And finally, we must strengthen our social safety net. This means raising the minimum wage to a living wage, expanding access to affordable health care and mental health services, and reforming our justice system to give people a real second chance. The problem of homelessness in the richest country on earth is not unsolvable, it's a policy choice. It is the result of decades of decisions that have prioritized corporate profits and wealth accumulation over the basic human need for shelter. By understanding the real, systemic causes, we can start advocating for the real, systemic solutions that are needed to ensure everyone has a safe place to call home. It is a matter of political will and a question of what kind of society we truly want to be. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the issues that shape our world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.